your watercolor keeps looking thick, stiff, or heavy, almost like gouache instead of watercolor, you're going to understand why. Because it's something that I see almost every beginner and a lot of intermediate students do. And what's frustrating is that many people can clearly tell they should be using more water, but even when they try it, it still doesn't quite work. So let me show you what's actually happening, starting with a thick version of this lemon. When most people start watercolor, they wet their brush, pick up paint straight from the tube or pan, maybe add a tiny bit of water, and start painting. It feels logical because that's how we use paint in many other mediums. But already, that green you're seeing here, mixed from blue and yellow, tells the story. It's stiff. There's barely any water in it. It looks usable, but even in the palette, it's not flowing. And as soon as it touches the paper, it just sits there. No spreading, no softening, no paper showing through. It already feels like painting with gouache. You can tell because the color is solid everywhere. The paper underneath never shows, even in places where it should. And instead of the brush gliding easily, you might also feel a bit of resistance. Oftentimes, you'll need to reload paint and nothing moves unless you push it. When I switch to a darker green, notice how the two areas don't even bleed into each other. They stop exactly where they meet. And that's a huge warning sign in watercolor. When paint doesn't want to travel, when it doesn't want to soften on its own, it usually means there isn't enough water doing the work for you. And here's something funny because by accident, I paint into an area that should have stayed blank. It's a great example for us. I rushed to remove the paint with water, then with a paper towel. Most of it lifts, but it's hard and that green mark stays. And this is important because this is also what happens when you paint too dark or too thick too early. Mistakes become hard to undo, and worse, you won't have much room to adjust anymore. Other problems with thick watercolor are hard edges. For example, the stem stops harshly against the white paper. There's no transition, no softness. Everything feels cut out. And now let's see how it goes with the lemon itself. Same issue again. The yellow goes on thick. It doesn't move. It stays exactly where I place it. Edges are going to be harder to control since the paint dries on the spot, and contours might feel hard to paint instead of natural, especially on a white background where every small mistake shows. And look at the highlights. It's harsh. In that area of the lemon, it's either solid yellow or pure paper white. There's nothing in between. And as more colors go in, green and then orange, they start to fight each other instead of working together. That's where you'll find yourself going back and forth trying to fix it, adding more paint, adjusting, touching again, and that's when the mud appears. Especially with the primaries, blue, yellow, and red. They do that when they're overworked like this. Now you can see some areas look randomly opaque, others randomly transparent. Not because of any plan, but because the paint just isn't flowing and there was a lot of back and forth trying to fix things. There are some gradients, but they happen by accident instead of on purpose. This is how painting starts to feel tight, overworked, and even a bit dead. And when there's too much paint on the paper and not enough room to correct anything, what do people often do? They reach for white gouache. If you look at my first videos, I did too, because it works. But a lot of it makes the painting even heavier and less like watercolor, and that's the trap. Now let me show you the exact same subject, but approach with watercolor logic instead. The first thing that changes everything is water, but also the right plan. Before anything else, I take the exact same green mix as before, and I add that water. Maybe more than feels comfortable at first if you're a beginner, and that's normal. And I want you to really look at the difference here, not just listen. The paint is no longer stiff, it moves. It has weight, but it is fluid. It looks closer to milk than paste. This is what starting light, what I'm sure you've heard a lot of people say, actually looks like in practice. So for this part of the lemon, and especially small areas like these leaves, when you want some detail early on without losing the watercolor look, I like to work with two brushes. One brush holds the paint, and the other one is clean and just slightly damp. Not wet, just damp enough to move pigment without flooding the paper. This alone already changes how much control you have without making things stiff. As I paint the leaf, notice how I make sure that you can still see the paper in places. That's important. Watercolor needs those light areas to breathe. The clean, damp brush lets me soften edges immediately. It creates gentle transitions from color to paper, and it helps my greens fade naturally into the sheet instead of stopping abruptly. What's really different now is how mistakes feel. If I add too much paint somewhere, I don't panic, I don't scrub, I don't pile on more pigment. Now, it's easy to soften or even lift. Everything is still flexible because the paint is light enough, and when you're early in the painting, it will help you. I gradually darken my mix with more blue, but I keep the same creamy consistency, and I'm not repainting the entire leaf. Instead, I'm just placing darker values only where they're needed. This is a big shift. You're not filling shapes anymore, you're shaping them. For the stem, I make mud on purpose by mixing a brown thanks to my primaries. When it's done intentionally, it looks natural and believable. And again, instead of letting the paint stop harshly against the white background like before, this time I used the damp brush to soften it outward. That small touch already makes the lemon feel like it's part of a larger scene, even though we're only painting that one. Now let's move on to the lemon itself, because this is where water really shows its power. Since the lemon is a simple, manageable shape, this is the perfect opportunity for the wet and wet technique. So I wet the inside of the lemon, but I'm careful to leave the very edge dry. About 1 millimeter around the pencil line stays dry. This will give you control over the shape while still letting the paint flow freely inside. And now watch the difference. When the yellow goes in, it doesn't stop, it melts. It spreads softly. It creates natural transitions without effort. And most importantly, it gives you time. Time to place color, time to adjust, time to think. This alone removes so much stress from watercolor, and it already looks beautiful. This first layer is not about detail. It's a base that you want to try and keep light, transparent, and it is meant to stay visible later. But if your paper dries faster than mine, that's okay. You can stop here, let it dry completely, and later wet it again and continue. Unlike what we tend to believe at first, watercolor doesn't have to be rushed. What matters is the order. Light first, flow first, and then build. As the paper slowly dries, but the wet in wet technique still works, you'll notice something important. The paint starts spreading less. Colors become more defined, and this is your cue. Because instead of fighting the paper, if you feel like it and you have time, you just adapt to it. That's why I slowly thicken my mixes little by little so they match the state of the paper. Less water on paper, less water in the mix. This is how you stay in control without losing softness, but still, notice the paint doesn't need to be very thick yet. And now's the perfect time to add shadows. Look at that darker area on the left side of the lemon. It's clear on my reference and important, but I still want it to belong to what's underneath so nothing looks pasted on. Nothing looks separate, and the wet paper helps me with that. Everything connects without me having to do much, but very slightly thickening my paints. Now I start tapping the brush gently to suggest texture. And I'm not really drawing details here, I'm hinting at them. That's why I won't do this all over. And I make sure to overlap colors slightly too. For example, greens melt into oranges and yellows. And because there's still moisture in the paper, these overlaps look natural instead of forced, and they're easy to create. I'm not able to do it on the right side because the paper is drier now, but that is fine, because painting on dry is exactly what you want at this stage for sharper details. That's the first reason. And the second reason is that if something feels too strong, the clean and damp brush is still there to soften it. That's why I'm not worried anymore when I paint with watercolors. You always have options as long as the paint isn't crazy thick from the get-go. And actually, this is the balance you want to aim for. Paint on wet whenever you can, and use a damp brush when you want more control. And as the painting progresses, your paint is going to get creamier, then a bit thicker, but because it shows more and more, it's darker or more opaque, and your touches get lighter. And with that, you never cover everything you did before. The early light layers must stay visible, and that's what keeps my painting looking like watercolor. This is why at this point, I confidently deepen the greens in the leaves, as you can see, with stronger shadows, and I refine shapes without everything turning heavy or stiff. The structure is already there, and I'm just building on it. If there is one thing to remember here, it's this. Watercolor needs light and transparency to exist. No matter what you're painting, there should always be areas where the paper shows and areas where colors mingle freely. Thicker paint and details come later and only when they're needed. If you liked this video and it helped you, please let me know. And if you're looking for more guidance, I also teach these techniques step by step in my watercolor courses, and I'll make sure to link them below. Next, I can suggest this video here since it's going to be helpful too if you want to understand how watercolor works even better. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.